This is not how defense industry dominance erodes. Most people think this is about military cooperation. Canada and Sweden signing agreements for defense technology development and weapons system integration. Technical partnerships between defense contractors and military research institutions, shared funding for theoretical weapons research projects, the kind of bilateral defense arrangement that fills military industry publications and gets discussed at NATO planning conferences. But when Canada commits $63 billion to developing next-generation defense systems through Swedish partnerships that completely exclude American oversight, that is not routine military cooperation. That is the systematic construction of advanced weapons technology designed to make American defense industry supremacy obsolete. For 75 years, Allied defense procurement meant American military-industrial leadership with international participation limited to supporting contracts. The Pentagon coordinated Allied weapons development with American strategic planning and American defense corporations providing primary technology. Allied military forces operated American weapon systems with Allied funding, but American technological control. Fighter aircraft production, missile defense systems, and advanced military electronics all flowed through American corporate structures that Allies supported, but never independently controlled. Trump destroyed that arrangement in 42 months, not through arms embargo or technology restrictions, but by treating Allied defense capabilities like American strategic assets, where independent military technology development was subordinate to American defense industry interests, first with demands that Allies purchase American weapons exclusively regardless of their own defense requirements, then with threats to restrict military cooperation with countries that developed independent defense capabilities, then with explicit warnings that nations asserting defense technology sovereignty would face American defense industry sanctions designed to maintain Washington's dominance over Allied military procurement. He assumed technological superiority meant permanent dependence, that American defense advantages were insurmountable, that Allies would accept limits on their military sovereignty rather than risk American defense industry retaliation. Instead, he gave Canada the strategic justification to do what defense technology had always made possible, build military capabilities that make American defense industry control optional rather than mandatory. Mark Carney announced the Canada-Sweden Defense Technology Alliance in Stockholm February 12, 2026, not in Washington where Pentagon protocols would require American consultation, not through NATO channels where American defense contractors could demand coordination oversight. In Sweden's capital, standing next to Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson, speaking directly to an audience that included executives from every major defense technology company and representatives from both countries' military commands. The commitment was unprecedented, 63 billion Canadian dollars over 12 years, matched by 51 billion Swedish kroner. Combined funding approaching $140 billion, specifically for advanced fighter aircraft, missile defense systems, and military electronics that would operate independently of American defense industry coordination while providing comprehensive military capabilities that exceed anything individual Allied nations currently maintain through American weapons purchases. This is not theoretical development. This is the construction of parallel defense industrial infrastructure designed to make American military export dominance obsolete within 15 years. Defense technology represents the ultimate expression of national sovereignty and strategic independence. Military capabilities determine whether nations can defend their territorial integrity, protect their strategic interests, and operate independently of external pressure. Advanced weapon systems provide the technological foundation for diplomatic credibility and alliance leadership. Traditional defense procurement depended on American weapon systems because no alternatives existed with equivalent capability. American fighter aircraft dominated global markets because they provided superior performance. American missile systems controlled international defense sales because they offered unmatched precision and reliability. American military electronics defined global standards because they integrated capabilities that individual Allied nations could not independently develop. The entity that controls advanced defense technology controls the strategic options available to military forces worldwide. Every fighter, aircraft sale, every missile defense contract, every military electronics purchase becomes either dependent on American approval or requires accepting inferior alternatives. For decades, the United States maintained commanding defense technology advantages through Pentagon research funding and American defense corporations. American companies like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Raytheon achieved technological superiority through massive government contracts and classified research programs. American universities provided foundational research for weapons development. American military contractors coordinated Allied defense procurement to ensure continued dependence on American systems. That monopoly is ending through Allied coordination that excludes American participation. The Canada-Sweden alliance brings together complementary defense capabilities that collectively match American defense industry capacity. Canada contributes advanced aerospace engineering through companies like Bombardier that possess sophisticated aircraft manufacturing capabilities. Canadian universities provide artificial intelligence research essential for autonomous weapon systems. Canadian military electronics expertise from companies like CAE provides training and simulation technology that modern military forces require. Sweden contributes world-leading defense technology through companies like Saab that produce some of the most advanced fighter aircraft and missile systems outside the United States. Swedish defense research institutions bring decades of experience in neutral defense strategy that prioritizes technological superiority over alliance dependence. Swedish military electronics companies provide radar and communication systems that rival anything American defense contractors produce. Combined, Canada and Sweden can develop complete military systems without depending on American defense technology, American weapons platforms, or American defense industry coordination. Every component of advanced military capability from theoretical research to operational deployment can be completed through Canadian-Swedish cooperation. The strategic implications are transformative. Military forces equipped with Canadian Swedish weapon systems operate independently of American defense industry oversight. Fighter aircraft designed through Canadian-Swedish cooperation provide air superiority without requiring American approval for operations or maintenance. Missile defense systems developed by the alliance protect Allied territory without depending on American early warning or intercept capabilities. For the first time since NATO was established, major Allied military forces will function with advanced weapon systems that operate completely independently of American defense industry control. The alliance established 6 parallel development tracks that will fundamentally alter global defense procurement within 10 years. First, next-generation fighter aircraft systems. Air superiority requires fighter aircraft that match or exceed the performance of advanced Russian and Chinese systems, while providing capabilities that American aircraft cannot offer to Allied air forces. Canada and Sweden are developing multi-role fighter aircraft that combine Canadian aerospace manufacturing with Swedish avionics and weapon systems. These aircraft will provide air-to-air combat capabilities that exceed American F-35 performance, while offering air-to-ground precision that surpasses American F-16 systems. The fighter aircraft will include advanced artificial intelligence systems that provide autonomous combat capabilities, stealth technology that rivals American systems, and weapons integration that allows compatibility with both NATO standard and independently developed munitions. Allied air forces will have fighter aircraft options that provide superior performance without requiring American approval for sales or operations. Second, integrated missile defense networks. Territorial defense requires missile defense systems that can intercept advanced threats while providing coverage that American systems cannot offer to Allied territories. The alliance is developing layered missile defense that combines Canadian radar technology with Swedish interceptor systems. These networks will provide comprehensive protection against ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and hypersonic weapons, while offering coverage patterns specifically designed for Canadian and European geographic requirements. The missile defense systems will include autonomous targeting capabilities that operate independently of American early warning systems, interceptor missiles that exceed American system performance, and command integration that functions without American operational oversight. Allied territories will have missile defense options that provide superior protection without depending on American system approval or coordination. Third, advanced military electronics and cyber warfare capabilities. Modern warfare requires electronic systems that provide battlefield awareness, communication security, and cyber defense capabilities that American systems cannot offer to Allied military forces. Canada and Sweden are developing military electronics that combine Canadian communications technology with Swedish radar and sensor systems. These platforms will provide battlefield awareness that exceeds American systems while offering cybersecurity that operates independently of American oversight. The military electronics will include artificial intelligence integration for autonomous battlefield management, quantum encrypted communications that American intelligence cannot intercept, and cyber warfare capabilities that protect Allied networks while providing offensive capabilities against adversary systems. Allied military forces will have electronic warfare options that provide superior capability without requiring American system integration. Fourth, autonomous weapon systems and robotics. Future warfare requires unmanned systems that provide combat capabilities without risking personnel while offering precision that human-operated systems cannot achieve. The alliance is developing autonomous weapons that combine Canadian robotics technology with Swedish weapon systems. These platforms will provide precision strike capabilities that exceed American drone systems, while offering autonomous operation that functions independently of American satellite navigation or communication systems. The autonomous weapons will include artificial intelligence targeting that provides precision beyond human capability, stealth characteristics that exceed American unmanned systems, and weapons integration that allows deployment of both conventional and specialized munitions. Allied military forces will have autonomous warfare options that provide superior capability without depending on American drone technology or operational approval. Fifth, space-based military systems and satellite warfare capabilities. Strategic defense requires space-based assets that provide intelligence, communication, and defensive capabilities that American systems cannot offer to Allied space forces. Canada and Sweden are developing military satellites that combine Canadian space technology with Swedish defense systems. These platforms will provide space-based intelligence that exceeds American satellite capabilities while offering defensive systems that protect Allied space assets from adversary attacks. The space-based systems will include autonomous satellite defense that operates independently of American Space Command, intelligence gathering that functions without American oversight, and communication networks that provide secure military coordination beyond American monitoring capability. Allied space forces will have military satellite options that provide superior capability without requiring American space system integration. Sixth, integrated defense manufacturing and technology transfer. Sustainable defense capabilities require domestic manufacturing that provides technological independence while offering export opportunities that compete with American defense sales globally. The alliance is establishing integrated defense manufacturing that combines Canadian industrial capacity with Swedish technology expertise. These facilities will produce complete weapon systems for domestic use while providing export capabilities that compete directly with American defense contractors in global markets. The defense manufacturing will include technology transfer agreements that ensure both countries maintain complete weapon system capabilities, export licensing that operates independently of American approval, and manufacturing capacity that can fulfill large international contracts without depending on American component suppliers. Allied defense industries will have manufacturing options that provide complete technological independence while offering competitive alternatives to American weapons exports. The economic implications are staggering. Global defense spending exceeds $2 trillion annually, with American defense contractors capturing approximately 40% of international weapons sales, worth over $400 billion. Every weapon system sold through Canadian-Swedish cooperation represents revenue that American defense contractors no longer collect. Advanced fighter aircraft that cost $150 million per unit. Missile defense systems worth billions per installation. Military electronics. Contracts measured in tens of billions. Every major weapon sale that chooses Canadian-Swedish alternatives over American systems represents massive revenue losses for American defense industry. American defense contractors built their global dominance on providing weapons technology that had no equivalent alternatives. When Canada and Sweden can provide military systems that exceed American performance while operating independently of American oversight, that defense industry monopoly collapses. The timeline is aggressive and achievable. First prototype fighter aircraft fly in 2029. Missile defense systems deploy for testing in 2030. Military electronics enter production in 2031. Complete weapon systems become available for international sale in 2033. Within 7 years, Canada and Sweden will provide advanced military capabilities that exceed American weapons performance while operating completely independently of American defense industry coordination. American defense capabilities remain significant but increasingly irrelevant to international weapons markets. The Pentagon maintains advanced weapon systems and substantial defense budgets, but international military procurement operates through Canadian-Swedish alternatives that provide superior performance at competitive prices. Pentagon defense strategy assumed that American technological superiority meant control over Allied military procurement. When allies build defense capabilities that provide better alternatives to American-controlled weapon systems, technological superiority becomes irrelevant to commercial outcomes. American defense contractors can produce advanced weapons, but they cannot force international buyers to purchase American systems that are more expensive and less capable than Canadian-Swedish alternatives. Defense dominance without commercial relevance is strategic irrelevance disguised as military capability. The alliance is attracting additional partners from countries that want advanced military capabilities without American defense industry oversight. Norway is contributing naval technology and Arctic warfare expertise. Finland is providing artillery systems and battlefield electronics. Denmark is offering naval defense and maritime patrol capabilities. Each new partner brings capabilities that strengthen weapons development while reducing dependence on American defense technology. What began as Canadian-Swedish cooperation is becoming multilateral defense development that collectively provides more comprehensive capabilities than American defense contractors alone can offer. For Pentagon leadership, the implications are strategic marginalization. Military influence depends on controlling weapons technology that Allied forces require for defense capabilities. When major military procurement operates independently of Pentagon coordination, traditional defense influence disappears. The Pentagon built its alliance strategy on being the essential provider for Allied military requirements. When defense procurement provides superior alternatives that operate under Allied coordination, Pentagon relevance to international defense markets diminishes systematically. Military cooperation depends on defense contractors that Allied forces require for weapons and technology. When military forces choose Canadian-Swedish defense systems, American defense industry services become optional rather than essential. The transformation is already beginning. Major defense contractors from multiple countries are exploring partnerships with Canadian-Swedish weapons development. Military procurement agencies are evaluating Canadian-Swedish systems as alternatives to American weapons purchases. Defense ministries are planning military modernization that uses Canadian-Swedish technology instead of American defense industry systems. American defense industry can still monitor weapons development, but they cannot control procurement decisions that favor Canadian-Swedish defense systems over American-controlled alternatives. Every weapons contract that chooses Canadian-Swedish systems represents defense sales that American contractors no longer influence. The psychological impact on Pentagon leadership is evident in congressional testimony, where defense officials describe technological challenges they cannot address through increased defense spending. Senate Armed Services Committee members receiving briefings on Allied defense developments that clearly represent threats to American defense industry relevance, but offer no policy responses that would not damage Allied military cooperation. Defense Department personnel acknowledge privately that American military advantages depend on Allied defense procurement that increasingly has alternatives to American-controlled systems. State Department officials recognize that defense influence erodes when Allied military capabilities function beyond American coordination. The federal bureaucracy is responding with increased defense research funding, but money cannot solve the fundamental problem. American defense dominance was built on technological advantages and lack of alternatives. Canada and Sweden are eliminating both advantages through weapons development that provide superior military services. NATO allies are watching Canadian-Swedish defense cooperation with interest rather than concern. Germany is exploring defense technology agreements with both countries. France is developing weapons partnerships that could integrate with Canadian-Swedish systems. The United Kingdom is considering defense cooperation agreements that would provide British military forces access to advanced weapons technology. NATO governments recognize that advanced defense capabilities offer military advantages that American systems cannot match. Participating in Canadian-Swedish defense development provides superior military capability without requiring dependence on American defense industry approval. Allied military forces are not opposing American interests deliberately, but they are prioritizing their own defense requirements over American defense industry dominance. When those priorities conflict, Allied governments are choosing military effectiveness over American defense coordination. The precedent matters beyond weapons procurement. If allies can successfully develop military capabilities that exclude American participation, other areas of supposed American defense dominance become questionable. Intelligence systems that bypass American oversight. military communications that operate independently of Pentagon coordination, defense research that functions through Allied cooperation rather than American defense industry supremacy. Each area where allies achieve military independence reduces American defense leverage and influence. The Canada-Sweden Defense Technology Alliance is the first comprehensive demonstration that major allies can develop military capabilities that exceed American defense industry services, while excluding American participation entirely. Success encourages additional defense independence projects that further reduce American military advantages. 20 years ago, American defense superiority seemed insurmountable. American defense contractors controlled essential technology. American weapon systems provided global military standards. American defense coordination ensured that Allied military procurement depended on American defense industry leadership. The Defense Alliance breaks that pattern completely. Canada and Sweden are developing military infrastructure that surpasses American defense capabilities, while excluding American defense industry coordination entirely. Trump wanted to demonstrate that allies needed American weapons technology for military security. Instead, he motivated allies to develop defense capabilities that make American defense industry leadership optional rather than essential. By the time Pentagon acknowledges the shift, Canadian and Swedish military systems will already provide advanced capabilities that exceed American weapons performance. International defense procurement will already operate beyond American defense industry oversight. Allied military cooperation will already function independently of American defense coordination. History does not reverse because it is misunderstood. Defense dominance is shifting from American control toward multilateral military development that excludes American defense industry authority. Weapons procurement is restructuring around Canadian-Swedish technology that operates beyond traditional American oversight. Military capability is distributing among allies who choose defense cooperation over technological subordination and discover they can achieve more together than under American defense coordination. They can no longer trust to prioritize Allied military requirements over American strategic control.